We are on the afternoon break in the questioning of Steve Beels, the detective sergeant in the Special Demonstration Squad from 2001 till 2008 when the unit was shut down. He's been asked extensively about his role as cover officer to Carlo Serracchi on those trips to Italy. He says he doesn't remember anything. In fact, there was quite a lot of questions about a lot of different things, nearly all of which he says he can't remember. He gives his reasoning for his terrible filling in of the RIPA authorization forms, that he was just lazy.
Yeah, he's possibly the most honest sentence he's said.
Yeah, he said lazy a couple of times.
It's just boilerplate, which is what we kind of knew about the authorizations. That they weren't actually. As it came up with other evidence, they're just a tick box effort. They're meant to have real purpose. They're meant to regularize and ensure that all these undercover operations are compliant with the law, that they're what they need to be. There's no intrusion, and we can just see they brought this law in. And it's whatever. Maybe had some training. And this is one of his more blatant lies. He said, we quite possibly had training. There is no evidence that any of them ever had training. It really summed up a lot of the way he approaches evidences. Well, I'm sure there would have been.
Yeah. I mean, he's also said, when it was put to him, look, because they took him through all the undercover officers who he was deployed at the same time. Well, he was in the back office at the same time as they were deployed. He claimed to have no knowledge of any of the sexual relationships of any of them. I mean, even in the case of like James Thompson, he was like, I think I saw him once. I'm not really sure who he is.
He was in the back office just packing up.
Yeah, but he said that overall it was that, I accept that it looks like very poor supervision on my part. It feels like I was left out, kept in the dark about a lot of things.
And that was the line that really jumped out to me. He says, I kept in the dark. But, and we had it the other day when, I can't remember which the other sergeants, Milling actually put to him, was like, there's lots going on around you, but you knew nothing about it.
Yeah, Greenie, yeah.
And you get he's kind of playing the same defense.
Yeah.
I wonder, has he watched Greenie and decided that seemed to work? But you also have, if he's telling the truth, which I don't really think he is, you have a professional office that had no gossip whatsoever at any point. So he never learned of anything. Nobody asked questions. They're all in the same two rooms, talking to each other, talking on the phones, and he's what?
Completely blissfully unaware.
This is an amazing professional detective, special branch, just absolutely missed everything.
The one thing they did admit to was Operation Muscat. He at first he was very sort of, I don't know. Then he admitted that he knew John Dines and that he was aware that he wasn't sure if he knew for sure or just suspected that John Dines was in a sexual relationship with Helen Steele and that's why she was after him. But he said everybody in the office knew that. It was and it was put to him, it was an open secret, and he was like, yeah. But it kind of like as he was saying, it was like, shit, I shouldn't have gone down this road.
Yeah, and it's one of those moments that blows all these lies out because they're all desperate. This set of managers, anyway, desperate to say nobody really talked about anything. Nobody knew it. It's just like it never occurred to them that when these women were ringing up the office, saying, as Rosa said, tell Jim it's over. None of them talked. Oh, maybe there's a sexual relationship going on. Let's play the incompetency card and say, well, actually, you all did.
Yeah.
Please, will one of you actually just tell the truth?
Yeah. When it came to the thing with Rosa and the change in the office, he said, it might have been spoken about, but it wasn't clear to me what they were on about. I thought we just changed office every 7 years, no matter what.
So you haven't been there. You'd only just got there. You didn't know this. He's just making this shit up on the spot.
I mean, the best one of those I feel was when he was talking about the trip to Venice, where he went to Verona as the cover officer for Carlo Serracchi, and he said, "Oh well, I'd done these sort of foreign trips before, and this was a fairly uneventful one." And then it was pointed out, Mitting intervened and was like, "You said that you don't think you joined the unit until early 2002, but." Because of the delay after 9/11 from joining, but this trip was in November 2001. So it would have been not only your first trip aboard, but the first thing of any substance that you did on the unit. I'm not sure. And it all fell down. All the things he was saying about this trip was, it was just another trip with Carlo. I was his cover officer, done it before. It's like, no, this was the first time. This would be memorable. You just joined the unit. You just become a cover officer for the SDS. The first thing you probably did was go to Verona. the idea is none of it is memorable. He remembers claims he doesn't remember anything about it.
And and it's like there is not a single reporting. And even Carl was admitting that it was a romantic trip. But also, it's like what struck me when they was going through all of that stuff was like, so the officers going out, even if they're doing some, something out there. It's hard to understand what policing purpose it was.
Yeah.
You have an officer in another city, possibly even two officers in another city, and the only contact they have with is by phone.
Yeah.
You could have done that back in London, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, and he keeps saying, I couldn't have known that he was in a relationship unless we'd put surveillance on him. And it's like, you could go and have a look, Steve. You could go and just have a look.
And he was asked about, just the I think we'll call it walk by or something.
The close pass.
A close pass. You just go and check, do a visual check. That's okay. You can't do that if you're in a different city.
No, it's absolute madness. There was he has been quite smoothly lying, but he has gone very, very red in the face as the day has worn on.
I would actually give him credit for one of the more elegant liars. Okay, they're falling apart, but after having listened to the appalling efforts of lying, it is a breath of fresh air. It's just like, I will give you a small bit of credit for that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much that he doesn't remember. There's so much he doesn't remember.
Again, not convincingly.
Very unconvincingly indeed. There is further questions. We are waiting to see what further questions he's going to be asked. They're hoping to finish him by 4:00. So, I mean, I'm not, given he has expressed such a lack of memory of anything at all about anything. How do you envisage him being examined on further matters?
I think there'll be a few more questions, but I think you will continue with I'm sure there would have been, but I'm not actually going to be tied down. I'm going to just be evasive. You can't. They're trying to, all of them on this phase have tried to come up with a form of words where it looks like they've given an answer, but they haven't actually said anything definitive. It's like one always wonders as they've been sat down by the lawyers. Here's a set of stock responses. You have that one. You have this one.
I mean, to be fair, they've got a whole career in the police to know how to lie to courts and to
well, these ones have never been to courts. If they'd actually if they'd actually gone to courts, they might have been tested. And I think part of the problem is that they haven't been to courts and therefore understood how to lie professionally.
Yeah, quite. He has rushed through a lot. There's been it's felt very rushed over the last hour. I feel the speed of the questions and the answers has been very fast. You could contrast that to many of the other officers who've been questioned. It's quite different. One thing that really stuck out for me though was he did criticize Mike Dell, who he claims he's got a very good relationship with.
A very moral character.
A very moral character. But he says that he was wrong not to withdraw Carlos Saraki after Saraki confessed to him about having a relationship with one woman. He said that having an affair, which it's offensive to call it an affair, but he said to have an affair, if you're a special branch officer, leaves you open to blackmail, you would lose your vetting across the board in the branch for that.
Which was quite, it's been one of my questions I've been constantly putting in. It's just like, what's the issue with vetting? And he lays it out very nicely. If you don't get your vetting, not only do you lose your vetting status, you're out of special branch. So all of these officers, having affairs, committing crimes, would not have had vetting. Therefore, they're all handling top secret material, according to their standards, illegally. They shouldn't have had that vetting. So it's one reason. I suspect it will be used as the justification as to why they didn't talk about the affairs, but they could only use that by admitting that they were committing a crime by handling material without vetting. Yeah,
just to say, the use of the term affairs, that's come straight from the witness. It's not how we would talk about it. It is deceptive sexual abuse, but that's the language that's being used by the witness. So that, and as I understand it, it's the language that's used in terms of the vetting for special branch. But
the vetting isn't necessarily about having sex with authority. It's with anyone. This is why HN60's extramarital affair with somebody he met on the course was.
I mean, that's
problem for them.
But that's still deceptive sexual abuse undercover. I mean, I think that we have to be very clear about this. All the stuff that the undercover officers did is deceptive sexual abuse. Another special branch officer who's not deployed undercover could theoretically have an affair. I'm not saying that, but there is no difference between deceptive sexual abuse against an activist or a non-activist.
But my point is, even if it's not in an undercover identity.
Yeah,
if
sure,
they're
sure.
having any special branch officer having an
Yeah,
affair,
yeah.
you know,
I
is
realise
caught
that.
by this.
Yeah.
Is you know, they're all, you know, on that level alone. Even
Yes,
before you
yeah,
get
yeah.
into the things, like if the managers are having affairs, they should use a vetting.
Sure.
And the question is, how many of them were?
Well, quite. We should head back in. There'll be the further questions should be starting fairly soon. Thanks for joining us. We'll do a longer video at the end. See you then. Bye for now.